All right, today we're doing something really interesting. We're going to dive deep into the lyrical world of Joji. We're going to look at his entire discography and see if we can piece together what might just be one single, continuous story he's been telling us all along. So let's just start with this one big idea. What if an artist's albums aren't just a collection of songs? What if they're actually chapters in a much larger narrative? Because when you really break down Joji's lyrics, album by album, the evidence for that is, well, it's pretty compelling. So if this is a story, who's our main character? Let's call him the Joji protagonist. And when you look across all three albums, a really clear picture of this guy starts to form. He's a character who feels totally worthless, like all the time. He runs from his problems by basically blowing up his own life, and he is just absolutely trapped by his own memories.
Now, this whole story, it seems to play out in 3 acts. And Act 1, we're calling this explosive nihilism. This is where the fight is all on the outside, it's loud, it's raw, and it is messy.
This first act is pretty much defined by the album Ballads 1. At this point, the conflict is totally external. He's fighting other guys for a girl's attention, and he's not just self-sabotaging, he's openly embracing it. It's this state of pure, chaotic nihilism, and it really sets the tone for everything to come. And this contrast just perfectly captures his whole headspace back then. On one hand, you have this deep-seated feeling of being inadequate, right? Just straight up admitting defeat. You should be with him, I can't compete. But then on the other side, you get this incredibly blunt, almost proud statement. I'm gonna fuck up my life. He's not even trying to hide the self-destruction.
Okay, so in Act 2, everything changes. The story takes this huge turn inward. We're calling this phase mechanical numbness. Because after all that external chaos, our guy just retreats completely inside himself. The fight isn't with the world anymore. Now, it's with himself.
This act is basically the Nectar album, and the conflict, it's shifted big time. Now it's all about feeling fake, like an imposter, and dealing with how empty fame can be. And his way of coping is to try and turn himself into an object, into a machine, just so he doesn't have to feel anything.
And here it is. He just comes right out and says it. This is the core idea for the entire era, laid out plain and simple. I am machine, I stay alive. Think about that. Survival is no longer about winning a fight, it's just about shutting down your emotions and continuing to function.
So how does a machine cope? Well, it creates distance. He uses speed and fancy cars as both a literal and a metaphorical way to escape. He says it himself, I'm in a rover, I won't feel a thing. He's putting up a wall, a public face, and basically telling all of us, my real thoughts, you'll never know. And that brings us to the final act. Act 3, resigned fatalism. The explosions are done, the machinery is starting to rust, and all that's left is this quiet, suffocating battle against his own memories. In the Smithereens era, you see the full transformation. The main conflict now isn't with some rival or even with fame. No, it's with his own mind, just replaying the past over and over and over. The whole focus shifts to this kind of quiet, sad acceptance of his own failures. And this leads to what is, honestly, the most profound shift in this entire 3-act story. Our protagonist goes from someone who is obsessed with destroying himself to someone who's willing to destroy himself for someone else. Just look at this. This right here shows you the entire arc. In Act 1, his motto was this selfish, inward-facing thing, I'ma fuck up my life. But by Act 3, that exact same destructive energy has been turned outward into this kind of tragic declaration of love, 'cause I'd die for you. I mean, what a character arc. So, what does this final stage actually feel like? Well, I think it feels exactly like this line. He's with someone new, but he's not really there, He's completely trapped, looking at his current partner and only seeing pieces of a past love. He's basically a ghost living in his own life. So we've seen the 3-act story. But how does he actually tell it? Let's take a look at the recurring symbols and ideas, what we're calling the nihilistic toolkit that he uses across all 3 albums. And you can see right away, his #1 tool is what we call the escape engine. I mean, just look at that. Driving, speed, cars, that is his primary way to get away from it all. Whenever the world inside his head gets to be too much, this is his go-to move to create some distance, both physically and emotionally. It's fascinating, he really processes his pain through 2 completely opposite extremes. He swings between what you could call a God complex, framing his suffering with all this religious imagery of sin and punishment, and then a machine complex, where he just detaches completely and becomes this cold, unfeeling object. There's really no in-between.
And it all comes down to this one fundamental, unfixable paradox at the very core of the Joji protagonist. Step 1, he is desperate for love and connection. Step 2, he is absolutely convinced that he is broken beyond repair. And Step 3, his entire identity is just him being stuck in the middle of that contradiction.
And I want to leave you with this final line because it just perfectly captures that whole paradox. He gets the connection he wants, he's literally in someone's arms, but emotionally he's a million miles away, just passing time. It's being intimate and being completely empty all at the same time. Which leaves us with the big question: can a character like this ever truly escape his own memory?